There we go. Right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Fraser McKenzie here, commentator for the Talk of the Devil Elite League and racer for the Extreme 2 League. Following on from an in-depth review with Callum Kvyat, I am with me at this time is the Ferrari manager, Mr. Ben Hazelwood. Ben, welcome along this afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing? How are you doing today?
Excited.
Well, that's definitely interesting to hear. Now, so let's get straight into business. Now, as we know, the news coming out of the league this week is the fact that Callum had a big managed to make some headlines and ended up having an early transfer ahead of the transfer window that was going to take place in a couple of weeks' time. That he's managed to transfer to your team at Ferrari from McLaren. Now, first off, what made you choose Callum and replace Panagiotis with Callum? What made you go with that decision?
It was sort of several choices I had to go with. Obviously, we had our last transfer window, and I didn't really move any of the Ferrari guys around. I was new to the team, so I thought I'd give them a chance. I did try and poach Callum from McLaren in the first transfer window anyway, as sort of like, hey, there could be a seat here available, but it never went through. So when we had this nice little surprise, we're able to make a transfer appear. It was obviously looking at performance reviews of the other drivers that I had and a spontaneous move from another driver. It left the decision sort of quite easy to make. So I basically just approached Callum and was like, do you fancy another run at another championship, but maybe in a Ferrari this time instead of going with the Mercedes or trying it in the McLaren? And we had sat down, had some discussions, and feel like we've made the right choice.
That is definitely very interesting to hear. And what was Callum's thoughts when you offered him the opportunity to potentially go for another championship?
Um, well, he was quite hesitant at first, obviously wanting to never having me as a manager as well was obviously probably the biggest hesitant of everything. So we discussed on how I sit down and work, and would he work well with Gary as a teammate as well, I think was the one of the biggest concerns, because we were quite unlucky that when he was in that McLaren on the last race, they had an incident. So we sort of had to almost resolve that before we made any plans to make them both teammates. But we've all sat down and had discussions on how we want things to go and everything. So it'll be good to see. Be good to see what these two can come up with on, especially around Silverstone.
One of the things I brought up with Callum in regards to potential team orders, and as we know, Ferrari have had a history of team orders coming into play during race weekends. Are there any plans on having any team orders in play with Gary being the Sebastian Vettel to Callum Harrod's Charles Leclerc on this occasion, or are you just going to let the two race amongst themselves?
I am currently going to let them race amongst themselves. Obviously, yes, Gary is technically the number one driver of them both, but obviously they're both new. There is been performance issues with Gary over some races, either through bad luck or just not being able to do the race. So I have given them both free orders to race freely for the next couple of races, and then we will all sit down afterwards again and decide if team orders will need to be put in place maybe towards the end of the season when we start crawling some of these points back. But at the moment, they are free to have a good race and hopefully give us guys a good show without taking each other out, obviously.
Which begs the next question. With the fact they were championship rivals towards the tail end of last season, how do you feel they'll be able to work well together, or is that rivalry gonna come to the surface at any point?
I think that's going to have to be something that I will deal with when the occasion arises, or I feel that there is tensions arising. But at the moment, I think they're quite happy just to work as a team and start bringing in some constructors' points towards the end of the championship. And then, obviously, if they both end up being the ones fighting for the winning championship points and not the Mercedes boys, then it will be another conversation that will have to be had, and we'll make an outcome, and hopefully they will both be happy with that. But until that time arises, it's not a worry on the front of my full mind.
Now, one concern I brought up with Callum is the fact that there was concern that Stephen might feel some sort of betrayal from Callum, that he's gone to Ferrari instead of coming back to Mercedes. Can you confirm? Can you confirm what the mood is with regards to this?
Well, this is sort of the first I sort of really even thought about that, to be honest, because um, Callum obviously stepped down for reasons of his own. So, but I don't know. I hope there's no tensions between the Mercedes, because obviously, if he wanted to go back there, they also had the opportunity in this mini transfer to do exactly what I did, and that was grab a better driver. But you've got both the brothers and the Mercedes at the moment, so would it have caused upset with those two if Callum went back to Mercedes? So I'm hoping he's not feeling too, I don't know what the word I could use for this would be, um, disappointed in within the choices that have been made. But then my point would be, if
Hello, yeah, you got cut off there. What was the
typical.
yeah, what was the last part of that? What was the last part you said there?
The last part, obviously, I was just basically saying that if the Mercedes boys really wanted Callum back at Mercedes, they probably would have tried to grab him in the mini surprise transfer that we've just had. Obviously, I don't know if they did or not, but Callum obviously made the choice to come to me. So, but I'm hoping it's caused no upset with them. It'll be good to see the Mercedes and the Ferraris challenging each other again, and there's always another transfer window up. So, but I've got no intentions of getting rid of the guys in the next window. So,
Yeah. So, last question before we finish up this afternoon, and then I'll just let you get ready for this evening's race. What's Panagiotis' future now that he's out of the Ferrari seat?
it's kind of a tricky one, obviously. I would assume at the moment he's obviously gone down into the reserves sort of league and everything, but obviously when the next transfer window comes up, because of obviously we had to retire him from his seat, I also said I would help him get into another full-time seat available when the transfer window comes up, because I think there could be small mixtures around within the other teams. But if not, I'm not too sure where he sort of stands, really. It's just a shame that he's had all the DNFs and a couple of obviously no shows as well. So it's quite hard to try and put a driver in a full third top running team that sadly either doesn't turn up or cannot finish a race. So we had to make that decision for us quite quickly. But I'm hoping that he can reevaluate his situation and would be able to come back fighting for another top team again. So, but I will help him in any way or shape or form on trying to get him back into a race seat of some sort.
Well, I'm sure he'll definitely appreciate that support. So, Ben, thanks very much for your time this afternoon, and we'll see what happens from there. And good luck in your preparations for this evening's race.
Thank you very much. That's the
And
next mission.
we'll speak to you again soon.
Okay, take care.
Well, very in-depth insights, folks, with regards to what's happening there. So yeah, we're going to get this up onto the channel, and then we'll hear me on commentary later this evening for the Elite League, and then it will be on to the it'll be onto the main league after the Elite League is finished. So yeah, until then, it's goodbye for now, and thanks for watching.